where whence is produced, who the knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Actually, it's called hence it is produced. So see, first look up, we see that you should understand that I am knower in all bodies. So see, now there is there is kshetra, that is the field. There is kshetragya, uh, that is the knower of the field, that is the soul. But see, there is another aspect, that there is a person who knows all the fields. Suppose let's say, okay, suppose uh, let's say there are, let's say there are 100 fields, okay, 100 different plots of land in a village, okay. Now see, now there are 100 plots of lands of field. Now see, the owner of the field, okay, the one who knows the field, okay, uh, he can be called as the owner of that particular field, and there will be 100 such owners. But there is one person, okay, who will be the head of the village, or maybe, you can say even the tax collector. In India, if you see, there are many tax collectors who are there, and they basically keep track of all the fields. So basically, either you can say the village headman or the tax collector, there will be such a type of person who will know all the 100 plots of field. He will know the measurements of all the 100 plots of field, and he will be the one who will basically, who can basically know, and you can tell the information about all the fields. So therefore, there is a person who is, even beyond this field. So similarly, God as super soul or Paramatma is the knower of all the souls. Okay, so therefore he's saying you should understand that I am also knower in all bodies. Okay, therefore, what's the difference between soul and the super soul? The soul only knows the body which it owns, but the super soul knows all the bodies. Therefore, and to understand that this body and its owner, uh, and to understand this body and its owner is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So basically, to understand, that's what, as I explained, kshetra kshetrajna vibhaga yoga. To understand that there is there is basically, people are not able to distinguish between their body and their soul. They feel that the body is the self, but the self, which is the soul, is not temporary. Therefore, body cannot be the ultimate self. Therefore, the soul, which is permanent, which is Satchidananda, is the self. Basically, you are basically the soul, you are not the body, which we also learned in the second chapter. Now here again in the 13th chapter, if you see, we are explaining that thing. So therefore, knowledge is basically, the real knowledge is when we understand the distinguish between the body and its owner of the body is the soul. Now please hear my brief description of field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, and hence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activity is, and what his influences are. Starting young with good habits. Now see, first of all, if we see, uh, the very first thing when we wake up, okay, when we wake up, when we the first thing of the day is that we wake up, okay. When we wake up, we should try to at least have that regular habit of um, setting up our mattress or the bed properly, so that it looks neat and tidy. Okay, so that is few of the good habits you can maintain. Also you can help your mother in cleaning your house, and you can keep things properly. You can organize your study table properly, and all these are basically parts of good habits. Then you can have a habit of, now this is spiritual activity, the habit of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Then the habit of reading books. Especially Srila Prabhupada has given us so many books, like, you know, uh, like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Krishna book. Then there is, Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is a lot, there is a lot of things which Srila Prabhupada has given us to read. So therefore, we can try to, get to a habit of regular reading, and then, eating eating good fruits, good, foods, and then exercising. Then bad, basically good habits, if you attain good habits, then you'll have good behavior. But if you had bad habits, you will get a bad behavior. So therefore, habits is what describe your behavior, means it is what help to distinguish what kind of behavior you will have. So therefore, Krishna says that he is the knower in all bodies. See, he's there. So basically, the soul is this, and this is the super soul. So super soul is present in all bodies. Now, real independence means the complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the conditions of matter. That is what is real. Now, see, okay, now this is very interesting thing. Okay, Annamay, Pranamay, Manomay, Vijnanamay, and Anandamay. These are the 5 stages. Okay. Now, Annamay basically, see, actually, there was a very good slide on this, but fine. Uh, Annamay is is on the bodily platform. Pranamay is on the Pranamay is on the physical platform. Gyanmay is on the mental platform. Vijnanamay is on the intellectual platform, and Anandamay is on the spiritual platform, or the platform of the soul. Okay. So now let's understand everything one by one. Okay. Now, Anmay is on the sensual platform, basically on the platform of the senses. Okay. Now, see, what does the very basic thing the body requires? That is Anna. Anna means grains or food. Okay. In general terms, you can tap food. Okay. So basically, senses are satisfied by basic, food. So that is the platform of Annamay. Okay. Then that is Pranamay. Okay. This is the bodily platform, in which, now what does the body require? The body requires clothes, proper shelter, a proper place to live, a proper place to sleep, and all these things. Okay. So that is the level of bodily platform. This is what all things body requires. And then Dhyanamay, also which is known as Manomay. Now, Dhyanamay is the basically mental platform. Okay. Now, what is the mind? Okay. The mind is constantly filled with different types of thoughts, and, basically, it's the platform where you start. It's the mental platform, basically where you make decisions, uh, you attain knowledge, and, that is, you speculate, you try to assume many things, and all these things is all part of manomay or gyanamay. So basically, the things which can we do through the mind can be counted in the part of gyanamay. Then there is vijnanamay. This is on the platform of intelligence. Okay. This is when we learn, uh, this is when we start, Vigyan. Okay, so basically, what is Vigyan? Vigyan can be also told as Vishesh Gyan. So basically, and, basically, if we translate Vigyan in English, we can say it is science. Okay. Now, what kind of science? Not the science which we learn in the schools. Okay, that can be part of Jnanamay or Manomay, but the science of the soul and the body. When we learn this type of things, like, um, when we learn that there is a difference between our body and the soul, and basically, when we uh, when we are able to distinguish between our body and the soul, that platform is the intellectual platform. With our intelligence, we are able to think in such a way, and that is what is the platform of uh, intellectual platform, or which is called Vigyanamay. And then there is a topmost platform which is Anandamay. Now, Anand means bliss. So basically, this is what it says. Once you reach the platform of the soul, it is complete bliss, because what is the nature of the soul? Sat Chit Ananda. Ananda means it is Sat means it is eternal. Chit means it is full of knowledge, and Ananda means bliss. It is full of bliss. So therefore, if we once we reach to the spiritual platform where we start doing devotional service, where we devotional service where we do where we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we do devotional service to the Lord, and all this six comes in the part of spiritual platform, and this is the topmost platform. Therefore, if these are the five platforms, first is Annamay. Annamay is also called sensual platform. Pranamay, bodily platform. Jnanamay or Manomay, this is the mental platform. Vigyanamay, this is this is the intellectual platform. And then there is Anandamay. Anandamay is the spiritual platform, or the platform of the soul. So at the end of the class, I'll ask this again. Therefore, please try to understand now itself. Okay. Now that knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of the you know of the knower of activities is described by various sages in Vedic writings, especially in Vedanta Sutra, presented with all reasoning as to cause and effect. So this knowledge about the field of activities and all is all given in the Vedas. But we know that Bhagavad Gita is basically like summary of all the Vedic knowledge. Therefore, if we see now, Krishna will explain us all about all these things. Now see, there are the five great elements is the Panchabhuta, okay, or Panchatattva. The five elements, that is Bhumi. We saw in the 7th chapter, right? There were various energies of Lord. That is Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu. That is, see, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, okay. Or we can also call as sky, Akash Tattva, okay. So therefore, earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the five great elements. Then there is false ego. That is kham, mano, buddhi, evacha. Okay. That is ahankar, mithya ahankar. That is false ego, which we have. Then there is intelligence. That is buddhi, intelligence. And there is also the mind in this. I think, yes, they have mentioned the mind here. Okay. So false ego, the mind, intelligence, and the false ego, these are the subtle elements. Then there is the unmanifested. Okay, the unmanifested is basically things that cannot be like things which cannot be manifested, like uh, which cannot be in its which cannot be felt or understood, like thoughts and all. So that is all unmanifested, very subtle things. The 10 senses. Now, what are the 10 senses? Is there is 5 senses, sensory organs which we have, and then there is 5. The 10 senses include basically they are called there are 10 senses, basically 5 sensory organs which and the 5 sensory organs also act as jnani. There is also it also acts as the senses through which we gain knowledge. So therefore there are 10 senses. Then the 5 sense objects, that is desire, hatred, happiness. The 5 sense objects are there. Then there is desire, hatred, happiness, distress, aggregate, the life symptoms, that is the consciousness and all these things, and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. I think I had noted all these things in one place, but I exactly don't remember. You know, otherwise I would have explained much better. I'll just get it after the class. I'll again, I'll just see to it and I'll explain. Okay. So these are basically various field of activities and its interactions. Field of activities means all the things that is happening in the field, or with all those things which is happening in the body and its interactions. Basically, when they interact, that is when the activities happen. Mahabhutani ahankaro buddhir avyaktam evacha indriyani dashayikam cha panchachay chendriya gochara इच्छाद्वेष सुखम दुःखम संघातास चेतन धृतिः एतात क्षेत्रम समासेन सविकारम उदाहृतम. Okay, would like to read this, Sovish Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
There are changes of the body, which are 6 in number. The body is born. It goes, it stays, it produces byproducts, then begins to decay. And at the last stage, it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material thing. However, the Kshetrajna, the knower of the field, its proprietor, is different.
Okay, so therefore, there are now we are talking about the field of activities, interactions, and the changes. So basically, in the purport, Lord Prabhupada has mentioned the 6 changes of the body. First of all, see, the body is born. Okay, once it is born, that is basically when you take birth. That is the first stage. Okay, then it grows. This is your childhood phase. Basically, when you are in the growing stage, your height grows, is your it means basically you grow mentally, you grow physically, and various things. Then it stays means, like, in the stage of when you are in the youth stage, it stays as it is, and then it produces byproducts. Okay, that is basically and that is basically it produces by various things and all. Then it begins to decay. Basically, you know this is the stage when you reach type of old age. This is when you reach the stage of old age, uh, where the body slowly not decays, but like it starts to deteriorate. Means like it begins to in health wise and all, if you see it, slowly decreases. So therefore this stage is called as, then it begins to decay, and at the last stage, that is when someone dies, it vanishes. So there are 6 stages. First, the body is born, then it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then begins to decay, and at the last stage, it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material. Non-permanent means temporary. So, it's a temporary and material thing. But the Kshetrajna, that is the soul, which is the knower of the field, is different. Basically, it is permanent and it's basically different from the body. Krishna consciousness is not a question of faith, but is the science of self-realization. Nothing can exist without Krishna. Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Now see, here you see, just like these stages are considered as various, uh, these uh, these senses, mind, and these things are explained with the help of a chariot. Now see, now there are 5 horses, you can see. They represents the senses. Okay, the 5 sensory organs which you have, the that is sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell. All these are the senses which we have. And then there is this rope. Okay, I mean, not rope exactly, but yeah, you can say that is basically the that is basically the, if we see, that is represents the mind, okay, which controls the senses, and the chariot is representing the body, okay. Then there is the charioteer who controls the ropes, basically the things which control the senses, that is the intellectual. And then we see that the charioteer who does is representing the intellect, okay, who controls the mind which controls the senses, okay. And then there is Arjuna who instructs the charioteer, who is Lord Krishna, to go there and all. That represents the soul, okay. And here also Krishna represents as the super soul, because super soul is present in everybody's body, is present in every soul. So basically, here the charioteer represents the intellect, and then the Arjuna who is instructing the charioteer also represents the soul. So this is how you can understand with the help of the example of a chariot. Now, what is knowledge? Knowing the difference between matter and spirit. Okay. This is what I explained. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhagayo. Then what is consciousness? Okay. Now, consciousness is something, see, what does consciousness? See, consciousness means conscious. You're conscious means you can feel something. You are, aware of something. You can feel, you have, sensations and feelings. That is what you mean by conscious. And the property of being conscious is called consciousness. Okay. Consciousness. Okay. So when you are conscious, you are aware of yourself and the things. So, okay. So conscious, you are aware about all the things. So that is what represents consciousness. And there is something which makes you conscious. That is the soul which is present inside the body. Otherwise, if and the property, the consciousness is only derived by the soul. Okay. Otherwise, the body is just like a dead matter. But what makes us conscious is the soul which is present inside the body. Okay. Now, these are the three bodies: the soul, the subtle body, and the gross body. The gross body is considered constituting the five elements, that is earth, water, fire, air, ether. The subtle body is mind, intelligence, and false ego, and the soul is the self, which is Satchidanand. Okay. Now this is now Krishna explains about knowledge. Okay. All these things is considered knowledge, and besides this, whatever may be, that is considered as ignorance. This is what Lord Krishna is saying. Okay. So anybody would like to read?
Prabhuji, can I read?
Prabhuji,
Yes.
can I read?
Manasvi Mataji can read.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. Hare
Okay.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
So first, see, basically whatever things which bring these qualities is basically is basically all the knowledge through which you get these qualities is called knowledge. And this is, and the Krishna says besides this whatever is basically ignorance. So see, now see humility. Now see, there is a saying that vidya dadati vinayam, that the real knowledge or the true knowledge is the one which makes you humble. Okay, so humility, that is the first quality. If you, so basically see, when you got to know that Lord Krishna is the supreme Lord and you are just a part and parcel of the supreme Lord, didn't you become humble that, oh okay, I'm very, I'm very basically we are Anu Atma and Lord Krishna is Vibhu Atma. That is, Lord Krishna is, infinitely big and we are infinitely small. Okay, so therefore, when we understood about the, and that we are just like very small in front of Lord Krishna, then you became humble. You, then non-violence. Okay, ahimsa. Now, basically, a non-violence could also be through words. Okay, now something, if you speak even bad words that can hurt someone, okay, that is also can be considered as a part of not physical but mental, you are mentally violent. So basically so basically once you come to Krishna watches this, you you become non-violent, you try to become non-violent, but that doesn't mean that every time you will become non-violent. It said that, see, they say no, ahimsa parmo dharma, but there is a second line, himsa dharma tathaiva cha, that ahimsa parmo dharma means that ahimsa or non-violence is the first duty, but himsa dharma tathaiva cha, that if there is a, if there is a time when it comes to destruction of religion, or when it comes to that, when they are trying to destroy things, suppose let's say recently, recently we see there are some attacks going on in Bangladesh, where there are various where there are various ISKCON temples and Hindu temples which are being targeted. Now in this case, we can't remain silent, because it is, it is basically dharma. When dharma, when there is, when there is a there is, when it comes to dharma, means when there is someone who is destroying dharma, then you have to do violence. Okay, we saw even in the case of Kurukshetra war. Okay, now Krishna is saying, ultimately what Krishna is saying to Arjuna is to fight. Okay, but here he's saying non-violence. Now how does it possible? But see, here the non-violence, the violence which they are doing is for religion, which is for dharma, to basically destroy adharma. The basically why this war happened is to remove the burden from Mother Earth, of these irreligious people, the Atharmi people. So basically, to wipe out, this irreligious population, is that is why this war had been done. Okay, so therefore, if we see, violence should be done in, if there is the question of religion. Otherwise, we maximum, if it possible by non-violent means, we have to try to we have to get we should be non-violent. Okay, tolerance, that is, tolerance means even if someone says some bad things about you, we should try to we should try to be tolerant enough so that we can accept it and we don't become angry. Okay, so that is what is tolerance. Then simplicity, that is what is the principle given by Srila Prabhupada. Simple, that your life should be simple, but your thinking should be high. Okay, yes, simple living, high thinking. Yes, that is what is the principle. Then approaching to a bona fide spiritual master, then this is all qualities. Then cleanliness, basically when you start becoming more clean. Steadiness, then self-control, renunciation of objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, then perception of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. Basically, then you get to know that what are the basic the four when we get to know that when we get knowledge, we get to know that these are the four problems which we have in our material body, that is janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, that is birth, death, old age, and disease. Then we get detachment, basically renunciation of objects of sense gratification, detachment, freedom from entanglement, aspiring to live in solitary place, detachment from central masses. All these represent basically one quality, kind of similar quality. And then even mindedness in even amid pleasant and unpleasant events, whether it's pleasant or not, whether someone does good to you or bad to you, your mental state of mind does not, your state of mind does not get disturbed by it. Okay, so that is what is called even mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events. Then constant and unalloyed devotional service. And then we see accepting the importance of self realization. All these are declared to be knowledge. Okay, now, okay, let's go further. Rujula Mataji, you can read.
I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. This is beginless and it is subordinate to me. It is called Brahman, the spirit, and it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Everywhere are his horns and legs, his eyes and faces, and he hears everything. In this way, the super soul exists. The super soul is original source of all senses. Yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the mode of nature, and at the same time he is the master of all modes of material nature. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
So, thank you. These slokas describe the nature of the super soul. Basically, that this is what is soul, super soul. Basically, as we saw that the universal form where Lord Krishna expanded himself, and we saw there were various his hands, various legs, various eyes, various faces, and all. In this way, the super soul exists. Now see, this is basically inconceivable potency of the Lord, that is achintya bheda abheda tattva. Okay, this is the basically, if someone asks you, your Krishna consciousness or what this thing is based on, what principle is this ISKCON movement based on? It is based on achintya bheda abheda tattva. Basically, it represents the inconceivable potency of Lord, that although is origin of all senses, but he is without senses. He's unattached, but he is maintainer of all living entities. Okay, he transcends the mode of material nature, yet at the same time he is the master of the mode of material nature. So this is basically the inconceivable potency of the Lord. This cannot be understood by our mind, because this is something which is beyond our senses. So therefore this potency of the Lord is understood as basically as the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Yes, the supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living entities, in moving and non-moving. It exists inside as super soul, and outside also it exists in each and every atom. It's present as Kshirodakshai Vishnu expands into each and every atom as the Paramatma or the super soul. He is subtle beyond the power of material senses. Although he's very far away, but he's also near to all. This is inconceivable potency. Someone is far away but still is near. How is this possible? This is basically the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Being. Now, how do you understand this? Krishna is actually originally present in his spiritual world, which is very, very far away from the material world, but still he is near to us because he's present in everybody's heart as super soul. So therefore, that is how we can understand that although he's very far away, but still he's near to all of us. Then, although super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he's never divided. He's situated as one. See, this is again, inconceivable potency. Now, inconceivable means that which cannot be understood by our senses. Okay. Although he appears to be divided among all beings, he's never divided. Although he's maintainer of every living entity, it is understood he devotes and develops all. He is the source of all light in all luminous objects. So basically, the source of the light of sun also is representing Krishna. Even in, I think, 7th chapter or 10th chapter, we saw once that Krishna represents the light in the sun and the moon. Okay, so basically that is what is the opulences of Lord Krishna. He is the source of all light, and he is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. His knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Now, how is this possible? He is knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. So basically, when we understand about Lord Krishna, that is also knowledge. And the goal of the knowledge is that ultimately we surrender unto Lord Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. So he is the goal of knowledge, and he is only the object of knowledge. So this is how we can understand. So basically, this is all can be understood as part of inconceivable potency of the Lord. Although he is far away from us, still he is near us. This is all inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. Now, this is a very beautiful image. Okay, there is Manasri Mataji. I think you might have seen this in Bhakti Shastri. Would you like to explain this?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
So first of all, I will like to explain this elephant. So this elephant signifies past karma. So our past karma is pulling us, okay, making us to suffer. And the snake is the future karma which we are gonna do. So this man, he's like the soul and in the body. So this body is hanging on a tree, okay, and this elephant is tying him to the past karma. So because of the past karma, he's suffering. So the elephant is breaking the tree so that he can fall into the future karma, which is the snake. Okay, so the snakes are the future bad karma which he's gonna do and which he's gonna suffer. And the tree branch is the present life, present where he's there right now. So he's hanging on a branch, so that is his present condition. So the white and black rats are the day and night, okay, eating away the present life. Okay, so they are the day and night, so they are eating away the branch. So the branch is the present life, so they are eating away the present life so that the man can go to the future karma, where is the snake. And then the honeycomb is there. Honeycomb means Maya and material life. So the happiness of material life is the small drops of honey which is falling from the honeycomb. Okay, so here Lord Krishna is also there. So Lord Krishna signifies that he is asking us to come back to Godhead. But we have so many problems, right? The past karma is also making hurting us, then the future karma also, then the present karma also, then day and night the present karma is going to the future karma. But because of the honey drops, we don't notice Lord Krishna has come as to liberate. So the honey drops are the like a happiness, little happiness in our life. But we are not ready to go to the liberated world, the spiritual world where there is permanent happiness. We just want to live here for the small happinesses. So this is the picture, Prabhuji. Am I right, Prabhuji?
Yes. So basically, though there are so many problems, but we are like, no. See this honey, very beautiful. It is very sweet honey. But if we don't, for this little drops of honey, we are, leaving the hand of God. So this is what is this is basically, actually, I think it's Kathopanishad or some Upanishad, it is describing this. This one is mentioned in the Upanishad, and this is a very beautiful analogy about our material life. Therefore, if we see that for the little drops of honey, we are leaving the hand of God. So, and even our acharyas say that, see, material happiness is like getting honey. Like let's say there is a drop of honey at the edge or the sharp edge of the knife. Okay, let's say there is a drop of honey, and there are some drops of honey at the sharp edge of the knife. Okay, now when you try to taste that honey, okay, you get the taste of honey, but at the same time, that there is the sharp edge of the blade. Now that will surely cut your, basically that will cause bleeding in your tongue. So basically there is happiness, but along with that there is also there is also a pain in that. So basically, if we see, this is what is how material happiness is. That there is little bit happiness, but along with that there is so much of pain which we don't notice. Now see, Maya is through, like just like water. If there is one little hole, water will find its way and immediately to that hole. And the problems in our consciousness has, and the problem is our consciousness has so many holes. So basically, Maya is so powerful that even if there is one hole like water, it will the all the water will come out. So similarly, but but our consciousness has so many holes. So we are like, we have so many problems. We have so many bad qualities which are which are not allowing us to perform devotional service, like pure devotional service. So therefore, if we see, we should try to purify ourselves by through the process of bhakti yoga, and then we have to overcome. We have to cover these holes so that we can come out of the modes of material nature and come out of Maya, which is the energy of the Lord. Okay. Now now see, Prakriti. Okay, everything, Prakriti is basically matter. Everything made up of matter undergoes three stages. It is created, it is stayed for some time, and it inevitably destroys. Okay. So these three phases corresponds to the three gunas. Okay. Passion creates, goodness sustains, and ignorance destroys. Therefore, if we see, even if we see, there is the guna avatars, that is Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Okay, these are the guna avatars of Lord. Now see, though now this Lord Brahma is the he he represents the mode of passion. That doesn't mean he is he is in mode of passion, but he controls all those people who are in mode of passion. Then Lord Vishnu represents the mode of goodness. That is because he is the maintainer. So he controls all the people who are in the mode of goodness. And there is Lord Shiva who represents the mode of ignorance. Again, this doesn't mean that he is in mode of ignorance, but he represents those people and he controls such type of people. Therefore, if we see, various ghosts and all, bhutas and all, they all are surrounding Lord Shiva. So basically, he controls all these people. The most difficult department is given to Lord Shiva, if you see, because he has to destroy. So therefore, he represents the mode of ignorance, though he is not in the mode of ignorance. Then this is the Atma and Paramatma analogy, where the Atma is undergoing material happiness, but there is Paramatma, which is like the another board, which is looking after the Atma, that when he will turn his face towards me. This is also one of the analogies given in the Upanishads. Nature is said to be cause of all material activities and effects, whereas the living entity is cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in the material world. Okay, the Supreme Lord is kind upon the living entity that he accompanies the individual soul in all circumstances, present as the super soul or Paramatma. Even though we are doing so much of even though we are doing so much of bad activities and so many things, we have we have basically we have left Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna is, since millions and millions of years, he's, wishing that one day it will come that where he will turn his face towards me, and then, we both will enjoy in spiritual world. But we are not turning our face towards Lord Krishna. We are not performing Krishna consciousness properly. So therefore, if we see, uh, uh, Krishna is so merciful that for millions and millions of births, still he is accompanying us in the, he is accompanying the individual soul as Paramatma or the super soul. Okay, nature is whereas the living entity, okay, the living entity in the material world follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of material nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets good and evil among the various species. So basically, we enjoy according to the mode of nature we are in. Okay, so that is what we associate with the material nature through the modes, through our mode of material nature. Okay. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. Basically, now see, overseer and permitter. Basically, it's Lord Krishna who sanctions all the activities, okay, which we do. Otherwise, without the will of the Supreme Lord, we cannot do anything. We can't even move our hand if Lord Krishna does not sanction the activity. Okay. य एवं वेति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयोऽभिजायते. One who understands this philosophy concerning the material nature, the living entities, and the interaction of the mode of material nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Now, see, after every bhajan, or after every every katha, or we say there is a shruti phala, okay, that describes the benefit of hearing that. Okay, so similarly, Krishna is explaining us that one who understands properly this philosophy concerning the material nature, he will never take, he'll attain liberation, and he'll not take birth here again. So this is the benefit of understanding about these things. So why are we understanding these things? Because this is the benefit. Okay. Clear understanding of the material nature, the super soul, and the individual soul, and their interrelation makes one eligible to become liberated, turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to this material nature. This is the result of the knowledge. Okay. So therefore, this knowledge, okay, you might think, oh, why this much of philosophy, material nature, this thing, that thing, this thing. But see, this all helps us ultimately, if we see, though people, there are some people who say, this all Bhagavad Gita, these Vedas are not scientific. If we see how scientific they are, there is a lot in detail to describe about the creation of the material world and all. Okay, so therefore, if we see, it is very much scientific. Okay, and if we see this, all these things will ultimately help us to understand how insignificant we are and how great the Supreme Lord is. And once we understand the greatness of the Supreme Lord, okay, once we understand that, we'll be able to perform our devotional service better. So therefore, this all will ultimately help us to do our devotional service better. Okay. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. So, three ways they are mentioned. One is through meditation, that is, the Ashtanga Yoga, or others through the cultivation of knowledge, that is Jnana Yoga, and others through working without fruitive desires, that is Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay, so these are the different ways how people perceive the super soul. Anyetvam अजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि च ते तरन्ति व्यव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. Again, there are those, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear authorities, they also transit the path of birth and death again. Birth and death. Okay. So now we can understand this by a spiritual, another person who helps us understand all these things. So once we hear all from authorities, we also are able to understand all these things. Okay, this is what is written. This is what is given. Now, without the touch of the superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. Therefore, the relation between the matter and the nature is eternally going on, and this combination is affected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the controller and both the superior and inferior natures. Okay, if we see, there is correlation between the nature and us. Okay, without the nature, we cannot get food and all. Okay, without which we cannot grow, and if we cannot grow, then we cannot function properly. Okay, therefore, if we see, there is a correlation or interrelation between, there is interdependence between the matter and the spirits, and this relationship is going on by the will of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the controller of both the superior nature, that is the spirit, and the inferior nature, that is the matter. Okay. समा सर्वेषु भूतेषु तिष्ठन्तं परमेश्वरं विनश्यत्व विनश्यत्व अविनश्यन्त्वम् अविनश्यन्तं पश्यति स पश्यति. One who sees the super soul accompanying in the individual soul, who understand that neither the soul, neither the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. So therefore, if we see, by virtue of true knowledge, a person will be able to see super soul in everybody's heart, and he knows that the soul and the super soul, being Satchidananda, they cannot be destroyed ever, and therefore he actually sees properly through the through Gyan Chakshu, that is the through the eyes of knowledge. Therefore, he sees the truth, basically. That is what they are trying to say. समापश्यन् हि सर्वत्र समाविष्ठितं ईश्वरं न हि नस्थ्य आत्मानात्मानं ततो यति परम गतिम. One who sees the super soul equally present in every living being does not degrade himself by the mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. Okay, I have explained all this. Basically, we are just going through the shlokas now. यदा भूता पृथक् भावम् एकस्थम् अनुपश्यन्ति तथा एव च विस्तरं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा. One who can see that all activities performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. So all the activities by the material, all the material activities, if we see, are all performed by the body. They are not performed by the soul. Okay, and the self does nothing, actually sees. Okay. Okay, when one can see that the various bodies of the living entities arises due to different desires of individual soul, do not actually belong to the soul itself, actually one actually sees. Basically, if we see the desires, various desires we have, of eating good food, tasty food, and all these desires, actually they are not of the soul, they are the bodily demands. Therefore, if we see that if one can see that they are not the desires of the body, no, they are not the desires of the soul, but they are the desires of the body, he actually sees. Anaditwan nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyaya sharirasthopi kaunteya nakaroti na lipyate. Those who with the vision of eternity can see the soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the mode of nature, despite contact with the material body. Oh Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor gets entangled, because he is not entangled by the mode of material nature. He is Satchidananda. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in the Brahman vision does not mix with body, though it's situated in the body. Okay. So if you see the sky, okay, the sky, it does not mix with anything. Okay. Although it's present everywhere, okay, because of its subtle nature. Similarly, the soul is also subtle. Okay. Therefore, it although it's situated in the body, but it does not mix with the body. Okay. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates the universe, so does a living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body with consciousness. Therefore, the property of consciousness is present within the soul. Okay. Therefore, it's the soul which makes the body conscious. Okay. Otherwise, it's just a dead lump of matter. Kshetra kshetragnayor evam antaram jnana chakshusa bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. One who knowingly sees this difference between the body and the owner of the body understands the process of liberation from this bondage and attains the supreme goal. So, if we understand this difference, then we can, basically get liberation from the material bondage, and we can attain the supreme goal, that is going back home, back to God. Therefore, the basic thing is that why are we taught all this? See, why is Krishna repeatedly repeating that, you are not the body, you are the soul, you are not the body, you are not the soul. So once we repeatedly repeat something, when we repeatedly are given such type of knowledge, we realize ultimately, by repetition, we one day what will happen is that we'll be able to realize ourselves that, oh, we are not the body, we are the spirit soul. Okay. So suppose, let's say one day you get you are not feeling well. Okay, you are maybe some cold or cough, you are having something, but if you but by this repeated knowledge you are getting, you'll be able to understand that, see, I am the soul, I am not this body. Okay. So basically what is affected is the body, it's not the soul. And with this knowledge, though you will feel the pain, but still you will be, you will remain happy by yourself, because see, you know that you are not affected, it's the body which is affected. So this is how even this knowledge helps us practically, even in our day-to-day life, it will help us to understand that, we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. This is repeated so that we can one day we can realize this thing. Okay. Krishna is so kind that he's always with us. If we learn to treat him with our friendly love and affection, the reciprocation is permanent, and that is the highest success of our human life. All our material qualifications are like big zeros. Okay. Whatever degrees and all these things we get, okay, are like big zeros. Okay. They are all zeros. But adding Krishna, when we add Krishna to our life, okay, all these material qualifications become like as if we are putting one before these zeros. Suppose, let's say there are 24 zeros. Okay. But if we add one before these zeros, then it will become, it will become a very large value. It will become more than trillions and, trillions and trillions. So therefore, all these qualifications which we have are zero. If we add hundreds of zeros, the value will remain the same, it's zero. But if we add a one before all these zeros, the value will increase like so much. Therefore, adding Krishna to our life is like putting one before all these zeros. So our material qualifications will be actually, useful when we add Krishna when we add Krishna to our life. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. And what is the peace formula which we learnt in the 5th chapter is, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, Krishna is the supreme controller, and he is our only well-wishing friend. It's mentioned in the 5th chapter, 29th verse. Krishna is God, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, he is a person, he is Shyam Sundar, and he is Satchidananda. That is, he is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Now with this, we'll end with our chapter, okay? I hope you were able to understand the things, because some, actually, among all the 18 chapters, if we see, this is one of the, I would not say one of the complicated chapters, because there is lot of things, kshetagna, what is this field, knower of field, many people get confused. So I have tried my best to explain you, in the most easiest way. So if you are able to understand, if you have any doubts, please ask me. Okay. Yes, I'll send. I'm posting the attendance link in the chat. Just a minute. Yes. So I hope you all were able to understand everything. Please say genuinely. Okay.